NFL Week 3 is here. What's going on, football fans? It's Mitch here, back with another week of NFL picks live on the Bottom Line View. Gronk, spike the like button. Don't forget to subscribe for weekly NFL picks straight up and versus the spread. I pick every single NFL game, every single NFL week, the regular season, the postseason. So make sure to stay tuned, hit that bell, and come here on Wednesdays. Okay, it's time to get to picking NFL Week 3. But before we do, an update on how we're doing through the first 2 weeks. We had a couple people comment, Mitch, don't you usually show your record, bro? And I just said, it's only been 1 week. Relax. Slow your roll. Let me make the graphic. Okay? So we got it done. Our NFL picks record for the season so far, which, by the way, Week 2 was difficult. We had a lot of upsets in Week 2. So last week, we went 8-8 straight up. We actually did better against the spread. We went 9-6-1 versus the spread, and we went 8-8 straight up. So there was a push last week, and that happened to be the Texans at -6 against the Chicago Bears. So I included it on our last week's spread picks. Straight up, we are now 9-13 on the season. Our spread record is 18-12-2 overall, and our best bets at 5-5, not including the bonus picks. Our best bets video will be out likely Thursday morning and Wednesday night, later tonight, for the members that are signed up. That's the $5 tier on YouTube membership for the Bottom Line View. You get the video a little bit earlier than everyone else. I've also already released all of my favorite spread picks for Week 3 on Patreon, so that patrons out there that are getting the betting package not only get all my bets, but also get all of my favorite spread picks for the week early. And, of course, my bets exclusively only on Patreon. You can find everything in the description, guys. If you want to support me, the BLV brand, and or you just want to follow my picks, you can definitely check that out on Patreon. YouTube membership gets the best bets early and gets exclusive access to the chat for this video so that you guys can give your picks, any questions you have about the games, and any insight you have on these matchups. We've got Brandon in the chat, Negan's in the chat, Big Al is in the chat, and Singh actually already left all his picks. Stephanie is also in the chat. She says, hello all. Last week I went 8-8 as well. Big Al, it was a bad week. Stephanie says, it was definitely a difficult week. Week 2, definitely difficult. We see like every year, at least in the first month, we see at least 1 week that's really, really difficult. I think that happened to be Week 2. I think a majority of people struggled with their bets. A majority of people struggled with their picks. But now I'm a little bit more motivated. I've got a little bit more vigor. I've got a little bit more energy. I am pumped. So it's time for Week 3. My blood is coursing through my veins, bro. So it's time to pick some Week 3 games and get it right and knock it right out of the park. Send a home run for Week 3. So let's go. Let's get it going. Let's pump the chat up. Let's get going, man. I'm pumped. Let's go. It's no more time for this lackluster performance. Best bets, we're going undefeated. Picks, we're going 90% this week. We're going all the way this week. So let's get it going, man. First, Singh, I just want to shout him out with his picks. He's got the Jets 16-13, the Browns 19-16, the Eagles 27-24, the Texans 23-20, the Bucks 31-7, the Packers 20-10, the Bears 21-17, the Steelers 20-17, the Seahawks 24-10, the Niners 38-3, and the Lions 29-26. Then he's got the Ravens 24-14, Chiefs 24-21, Bills 27-17, and Bengals 34-3. Members, if you want to give your picks, keep up with me and give your picks. All right, let's go. Thursday Night Football, kicking off week 3. I'm going to start it off with a hot take. I have not been biased whatsoever yet on my pick show when it comes to the greatness of the New England Patriots. I have not been biased one iota. I did not pick the Patriots to beat the Bengals. I was wrong. I actually picked them to cover. I was right. I did not pick the Patriots to upset the Seahawks. I was right. I did pick them to cover. I was right. But they should be 2-0 right now, these New England Patriots. And I don't know if there is a more overrated football team in the National Football League right now with how they have put together performances in week 1 and week 2 than the New York Jets. I must say that everybody is going to pick the Jets in this game. I'm picking the New England Patriots to go to New York, fly the jet, land, and win. I'm picking the Patriots. Give me the 6.5. Give me the Patriots to roll up to MetLife Stadium and hand Aaron Rodgers his second loss of the season. Why? I like the Patriots because I think New England, what do they do well? They play defense and they run the football. What did we see the New York Jets get absolutely steamrolled by the San Francisco 49ers on Monday Night Football with? Mason and the ground attack. I think the Patriots can replicate that success. Run the football, control the clock, keep possession, and therefore control the game. I think the Patriots will be better at slowing down the Jets' running game than the Jets will be slowing down the Patriots' running game. The Jets have struggled with the Titans, struggled with the Niners running the football. They now have no Jermaine Johnson on the edge. They have a weak, in my opinion, a weak front against the run. CJ Mosley probably isn't going to play. And I view their defense right now as being a bit overrated. I also look at Alex Van Pelt being from, Cleveland, right? Do you guys recall a Thursday night game? I think it was on Thursday night. It was late last season. The Cleveland Browns, I know it was in Cleveland, but they absolutely ripped up the Jets defense. Like, they were running it. They were throwing it. Joe Flacco was having a ton of success. I'm not saying it's apples for apples. It's not going to be the same degree. But I'm just saying I think there's a formula there for Van Pelt to look at that past matchup between the Browns and the Jets from last season. I'm going to look up this matchup right now for you guys. I remember this game. What was it? Browns versus Jets 2023. It was 37-20. Cleveland won the game 37-20, December 28th, okay? The Browns, Joe Flacco had 300 yards and 3 tutties. Njoku went off. Ford had 12 carries for 64 yards. Cleveland was up in that game 27-7. 27-7. So I think there is a formula that Van Pelt can take from that Cleveland game plan and put it together for New England on the road here. I have heard that this game could involve some rain. I think that hurts the Jets more than it hurts the Patriots. I think Christian Gonzalez can cover Garrett Wilson. I think that the Patriots, if they can just get a little bit of pressure on Aaron Rodgers, he's going to fold like a cheap tent. He's soft. He doesn't want to get hit. He's throwing the ball within 2 seconds on every play because he doesn't want to hold on to the ball. And I just think the Jets, I don't think the Jets are as good as people think. I don't think they deserve to be 6.5-point favorites. I think the Patriots have looked good. I honestly think the Patriots know what they are more than the Jets know what they are. I think the Jets are kind of surprised by how their defensive line is underwhelming. Now, I will say the Jets will win this game if the Patriots can't run the ball, but that's not what I'm expecting. I think the Jets can get a pass rush on New England if New England can't run the ball, but that's not what I'm expecting. I'm expecting New England to be able to have early down success, setting up, their ability to be out of these second and third and longs and I think their defense is going to come to play. Jawan Bentley's gone for the year, but I think New England's secondary is legit. I think their defense will travel, and I think the Patriots will go in as an underdog and beat the Jets like 17-14. That's my call, but I love the points here. I think New England covers this game absolutely with the 6.5. They might not win, but that's my pick. I'm going New England with the upset. They make Rodgers uncomfortable. They make him look like an old man. They run the football, and they win the damn game. So that's my call in that one. Let's check out what OUTLIER says for this matchup here and this game. So let's see. So OUTLIER for the public betting, we've got 80% of the money line bets on the Jets. We got 52% of the money line money on the New England Patriots. The spread, we have 55% of the bets on the spread on the Jets, but we've got 58% of the money also coming in on the Jets. And in terms of the total, the over-under, 74% of the bets are on the over. Meanwhile, the money is split 50-50. I don't know what type of psychopath is betting New England Patriot overs, but you're a psychopath. I don't exactly know, but you're an interesting character. I do think the most interesting thing here is that the Patriots are getting most of the money on the money line, but the Jets are getting most of the money on the spread. I find that kind of interesting. I don't know. That's just me overall. But these games typically are unders. These games are typically low scoring overall. So let's get to the next matchup. The next matchup on Sunday now, the Green Bay Packers at the Tennessee Titans. Jordan Love returned to practice today in a limited capacity. I don't think he's going to play. I'm almost positive he's not going to play, but we'll see. Who knows? So definitely keep an eye out on that. I will say that the Packers looked better than I gave them credit for last week. They executed a game plan that we all knew they were going to have. They were going to run the ball like a, academy offense in college football, and they were just going to run it down the throats of the Indianapolis Colts. I thought the Colts would be better equipped and better prepared to be able to slow down the Packers, but of course not, because they're a bunch of jabronis. More on the Colts a little bit later. But again, I still don't think Malik Willis is anything special. You can tell because Matt LaFleur didn't trust him to throw the football. I think that the Titans' defense is legitimate. I went back, I watched the Jets and Titans because obviously I like the Patriots this week. I'll be betting on the Patriots this week, spoiler alert. I also think I might be betting on the Titans because I like the Titans' defense. I like how their corners are playing. L'Jarius Sneed, I think they can cover. And I think their front seven with the addition of Ernest Jones. I like how Jeff Simmons is playing. I like how Sweat is playing. I think Harold Landry's playing well. I don't think the Titans are going to be pushed around by the Packers the way that the Colts were, especially on the road. The Packers are not in Lambeau where they can communicate better on offense. They can kind of hide the fact they have an underwhelming quarterback, a backup quarterback. Now the Packers, clearly the Titans will have the game plan of the Packers that they used against the Colts. They'll be able to see what plays Malik Willis understands, what concepts they're running with. The Titans will be able to really dial in on what the Packers are doing, right? When you have a backup quarterback in his first ever game, sometimes it can be challenging to understand from a schematical standpoint, a play calling standpoint, what you're going to see. But in his second matchup, it's easier to play defense that way. You're not going to be tricked or fooled. And that's usually when backup quarterbacks look like backup quarterbacks. The second game. So Tennessee is at home. Tennessee should be 2-0 as well. Tennessee has a quarterback in Will Levis, who I thought played actually exceptional besides the stupid plays that he makes. I actually thought Will Levis played really well against, maybe this is a hot take, against the Jets. It's just that he makes the 2 or 3 absolutely horrific plays in every game. If the Titans can get ahead in this game and he doesn't turn it over in catastrophic fashion, also, Tennessee is 2 for 2 on getting punts blocked in games. I see regression coming for the punt blocks. I don't think they'll get their punt blocked this week, hopefully. Really, that's what lost the Titans these games, man, is special teams and Will Levis boneheaded plays. I think if those things don't really happen, I think that the Titans are like a decent team. Like overall, they look pretty good on both sides of the ball. I love how Tony Pollard is playing. Calvin Ridley showed up in a big way last week. We've seen plays out of Okonkwo as well. I feel like the Titans are going to win this game. They're at home. They are due for a little bit of luck to go their way this week. So I like the Titans. Let's see what Outlier has to say about Tennessee this week. So 62% of the bets on the money line are on the Green Bay Packers. 38% on the Titans. 93% of the money is on the Packers money line, which is interesting. 76% of the bets is on Green Bay. 24% of the bets on the spread is on Tennessee. 77% of the money, so pretty much identical to the bets on the spread for Green Bay. 23% on the Titans. 81% on the over, 19% on the under, 63% of the money is on the over, 37% is on the under. In terms of trends, the Packers have been playing to the over 8 out of the last 10 games. The Packers have obviously been the better team on the money line and on the spread. The Titans have struggled to cover the spread 2 out of the last 10 games. That dates back to last season, obviously. Tennessee is still number 1 in yards allowed, says Big Al. Probably the most slept on defense in football. Big Al knows it, and that's why I'm going with the Titans. Big Al's also going with the Titans 24-14. He likes the Patriots 21-17. Winning a cover. Okay, man. Okay. We've got more Patriots upset in the chat. All right. New York G-Men at the Cleveland Brownies. Browns favored by 6.5. I'm not going to watch this game. This is arguably the 2 quarterbacks in football, maybe not even arguably, maybe not even debatably. These are the 2 quarterbacks that burn my eyeballs on a weekly basis. We've got Daniel Jones versus Deshaun Watson. Daniel Jones frustrates me because he looks aesthetically like he would be decent, but he's so dumb that he just doesn't do anything for me. And then on the other side, we've got Deshaun Watson, who couldn't hit water if he fell out of a boat. And I understand we've got 1 or 2 Browns fans that each and every week, Mitch, you're a hater. Mitch, you just hate Deshaun Watson because he likes massages. Mitch, why do you keep saying Deshaun Watson sucks? He's the greatest quarterback I've ever seen. He lit up the Jags last week for 165 yards. Well, I know that you're Browns fans, but I'll just give you some advice. Deshaun Watson is not a good quarterback. I know that you don't know what a good quarterback is, Browns fans. So I'm trying to help you. I'm trying to help you out. Now, that being said, we have the Browns defense at home. I like that. The Browns defense at home. I like their defensive line against an underwhelming offensive line of the Giants. I like Denzel Ward, who might be the best corner in the league, taking on Malik Neighbors, who was fantastic in week 2, and I love him for my fantasy team, but that's not the best matchup in the world. And he's the only guy they throw to. So if the Browns are smart, they might double him, maybe triple him. Who knows? Okay? The Browns' run game got on track last week. You can run on the Giants. The Giants are not a very good run defense. We saw Brian Robinson tear them up, take their soul from their body. I think Devin Singletary will struggle to run. I think Ford and Foreman could have success, which helps because Deshaun Watson, you don't want him throwing the ball. So you want everything to be off play action, something easy to throw. If you're going to run the ball, that sets him up to have easier throws and keeps you out of 3rd and long. I think the Browns have the better coaching staff. I think the Browns are at home. I think the Browns should win. The Browns have the dominant defense. The Browns might get their tackles back this week, which also helps. David Njoku still out, unfortunately. I don't think anybody on the Giants can cover Amari Cooper. And honestly, I want to take the 6.5. I really do. But I kind of feel like the Browns are going to win this game by more than 6.5. I just have a feeling. Like, I want to be smart, and I want to, it feels like you should take 6.5 anytime the Browns are laying it. But it's the Giants. I think the Giants suck. The Giants lost a game last week in which they scored 3 touchdowns. The other team scored 0 touchdowns, and they lost. I don't even know how that's possible. How is that possible? So I think the Browns win, and I think the Browns cover. I'm going to take the Browns to cover. See, my original picks, I'm looking at my laptop. I had the Giants to cover. I'm changing that, bro. I'm taking the Browns. This is obviously not a bet, but I'm going to take the Browns both ways. Let's see what Outlier has to say about this matchup. Okay, so we have the Cleveland Browns and the New York G-Men. Cleveland, 90% of the money line bets, 10% on the Giants. 95% of the money is on Cleveland on the money line as well. 58% of the bets on the spread is on the Giants. 42% on the Browns. 61% of the money is on the Giants on the spread as well. Then you look at the total. 68% of the money. Big discrepancy here. Take note. Take note, Durkant. 75% of the bets is on the over, but 68% of the money is on the under. So think about the under this week potentially right there with the Giants and the Brownies. I will say, too, the Giants' defense has not lived up to the expectation. I thought their front seven and their pass rush was going to be good. They really couldn't slow down the Commanders. Like, the Commanders couldn't score touchdowns, but they moved the ball. So, I don't know, man. Next up, we've got the Chicago Bears at the Indianapolis Colts. And honestly, it doesn't matter who I pick in this game because whoever I pick, the opposite is going to happen. That's just every Colts game that I've ever talked about. It just happens. So I honestly don't know what to do at this point. I feel like I should just get some random person off the street to come in here to this desk and pick the Colts game, and I think they'll have more success. I'm just going to be honest. Now, the Colts are favored by 1, and I truthfully believe that the Bears should win this game. So I'm going to pick the Bears because I think the Bears are the better team. I have them ranked higher. I think they've got the best unit in this game, which is their defense. I think the Bears' weakness is their rushing attack, and I think you can run on the Colts. Like, I think a local high school could run on the Colts, and they don't have DeForest Buckner, their best player on their entire team, probably. He's out. And also, Caleb, Keenan Allen's beat up, Rome Odunze's beat up, their receiving core doesn't look great, but who's covering DJ Moore? Like, Shane Waldron is a fraud. I get it. He's fraudulent. But at the same time, I think the Colts suck. Like, I do. I think actually playing in a dome helps Caleb a little bit. He played in a dome last week. I thought whenever the Texans didn't blitz, the Bears looked good on offense. Like, they looked decent on offense. And I think the Colts are like one of the lowest rated teams in terms of blitz rate. So I think if the Colts are going to play the way they always play, which they always play the same because it's Gus Bradley, he's never going to change anything. He still plays cover 3 against Patrick Mahomes and Tyreek Hill. So he's not going to blitz. So I think Caleb will actually be a bit better in this game. And without DeForest Buckner, I think the Bears can run, and I think the Bears have a better defense. And Anthony Richardson is legitimately bad. He can't throw the ball. He's like a 50% completion percentage quarterback. It's not good. He's athletic, but he can't throw. So I think the Bears, I like their defense. I think they're top 10. Let's see what Outlier has to say about this game. Where's Chicago? Okay, there they are. So we got 53% of the money line bets on the Colts. That makes sense because they're 1-point favorites, but 76% of the money is on the Bears. Interesting. 53% of the bets on the spread are on the Bears. 58% of the money is on the Bears. The total, 61% of the money on the under, 60% of the bets on the over. So discrepancy in terms of the money line money and where that's going, and the money on the total compared to the bets. So under and Bears seems to be the sharp pick this week in that game. Let's get to the next matchup. We've got the Denver Broncos at the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Tampa Bay, somehow, some way, Tampa found a way in Detroit. I was extremely impressed with their ability to just win that game, period. Baker is one of the 5 best quarterbacks in football right now, the way that he is playing. I think their offense is legitimately pretty good, and the defense is surviving somehow. They're playing good red zone defense, and they're forcing mistakes, which is what Todd Bowles' defenses typically do, and they stop the run. Now, that being said, Tampa has injuries, like legitimate, difficult injuries, like to their best players. Antoine Winfield, out. Vita Vea, out. They're dealing with injuries in the secondary. They're dealing with injuries up front. Kalijah Cansey's also out. So their defensive line is pretty thin, and their safety position's pretty thin right now. So that's scary. But I do think that their offense should be able to move the ball against Denver pretty well. Like, Denver doesn't have an overwhelming defense in any way, shape, or form. I do think, though, we've seen some ability to pressure Baker. Like, the O-line has been a bit spotty because the right tackle right now, Gedeke, is also injured. Gedeke, whatever his name is. He's a pretty good player. He's not in there. He's hurt. And some guy named Scully, Justin Scully, I think, he's been a backup his entire career. He's terrible. He got absolutely slapped by Aiden Hutchinson left and right. And for some reason, they still didn't double Aiden Hutchinson despite having, like, Jonathan Ogden on the other side. And, you know, Tristan Wirfs. So, I don't know. Tampa's kind of stupid, but I feel like they're going to win, but I think this is going to be a sloppy game. And I feel like Denver's going to be in this game. Sean Payton has typically had the number of Todd Bowles, and Sean Payton really understands the Bucs personnel really well. He was the Saints coach. He owned the Bucs for a number of years, and I could see Denver hanging around because of that, because I just think Sean Payton and this staff could outcoach the Bucs for that reason. I also think Denver is due to be in one of these games at a certain point. Bo Nix is bad. Don't get me wrong. And I told you he was bad. Everyone thought he was Drew Brees 2.0. Don't listen to Colin Cowherd. Listen to Mitch. Bo Nix sucks. I told you he sucks. Okay? They don't have any receivers. But I actually think Denver might be able to run the ball better in this game, which will help Bo Nix because there's no Vita Vea and there's no Kalijah Cansey. So I'm going to go with Denver to cover, but the Bucs to win. That's just my opinion. I might be wrong, but that's my pick, bro. That's my pick. Let's see what we have for the Broncos and the Bucs. So 95% of the bets is on the Bucs on the money line. 80% of the money is on the Bucs. 83% of the spread bets are on the Bucs, while 81% of the money is on Tampa as well. 75% of the over bets are made, and then 72% of the money on the over as well. So pretty even across the board. Like, it's over and it's Bucs all the way, which is somewhat scary. There's actually not a lot of money coming in on Denver, which is fair enough. Like, this is a game that I considered, but at the end of the day, there's just no way that I am going to bet money on Bo Nix. Like, the guy is absolute garbage. So I am not going to bet money on that. Durkant says Tampa 23-10. And Durkant also says, to everyone watching, join the BLV Discord to talk tons of football with fans just like yourself. Members join for the exclusive members chat. And then he provides the link, guys. So make sure to check out what Durkant says there. The Discord link should be in the description. Durkant also provided a link there. I'm not sure if people that are not members can click on that, but if you're a member, join the Discord because you get an exclusive members chat. It's absolutely free. Because you're a member, you get that chat. It's a perk. So make sure to join there. Big Al's in there. I know that for a fact. We need Jennifer in there as well. So make sure to check that out. And to anyone out there, you don't have to be a member. You can just join the Discord. It's free, guys. And what you get with the Discord as well, not only can you chat with everybody, but I post all of my content in there in terms of all of my videos. So I post like my TikToks. I post my BLV content. I post my Owner's Box fantasy content. I post my Bleacher Report live streams in the announcements. So if you want to be connected to what I'm doing throughout the entirety of every NFL season and beyond, then the Discord is the place to go, because not only can you chat with others, but you can also see, oh, Mitch is live on Bleacher Report right now. Let me check that out, right? So, yeah, that's a reason to join the Discord. Definitely get in there, guys. All right, so where were we? We had the Bucs and the Broncos. Jennifer says, watch this be an upset. And Durcan had 23-10 for Tampa. Big Al has 23-16 Bears. And Big Al also has the Bucs blowing out the Broncos 31-10. Okay, let's get to the next game. We've got the Chargers at the Pittsburgh Steelers. From a betting standpoint, I want nothing to do with this game. I think this is a 3-point game, 4-point game regardless. It could go either way. Jim Harbaugh, he likes to coach nasty football. Mike Tomlin likes to coach nasty football. Both of these coaches have intent to have the ugliest looking football product that you will ever imagine. All right. Justin Herbert, a big fancy toy for Jim Harbaugh. He has no interest in letting him throw the football more than 20 times in a game. And it's very disappointing. I am going to go with the Steelers here. And the reason for that is they're at home. I think they have the best unit in the game, which is their defense. And the defense at home is also great. And then also, Justin Herbert's banged up. Justin Herbert has a lower body injury. I don't think Herbert will be able to move that well. And I don't really see how the Chargers can consistently move the ball. I think the Chargers have been one of the most overrated teams so far this year. Now, I'm not saying that they have no chance to win this game. It's probably going to be like 20-17, 17-16, 17-14, 14-13, 16-13, something ugly. That's why I'm not betting it. But I think that the Chargers have been really, really, really overrated by many pundits so far this year. I've seen them, Colin Cowherd has them at number 3 on his power rankings. I've seen people put them even in the top 8, top 7. It's just outlandish. They have beaten the Panthers, who suck. Like, they are the 08 Lions level of bad. And they beat the Raiders. And the Raiders are basically a worse version of the Steelers. And honestly, like, the Raiders, that game was a lot closer than people think. The Raiders just turned it over 3 times, and they missed a field goal. And the Chargers didn't turn it over. And that was the difference. Now, where I think the Chargers can have success here is they do have good edge rushers. And if they can stop the run, I think they can put some pressure on Justin Fields. But I don't think they have a proper matchup for George Pickens. I think Pickens will give them issues. Now, I want to see how legitimate the Chargers offensive line truly is, because they're going to be playing the best front in football with a superhuman white guy named TJ Watt, who can leap tall buildings in a single bound. That's the saying, right? And they've got legitimate now safeties, a great safety duo in Elliott and Fitzpatrick. They've got Joey Porter to lock it down. Quentin Johnston isn't doing anything this game, bro. He's not doing anything. Dobbins has been a great story, but I don't really see how they run the ball all that well, especially because Greg Roman is the OC, and who does Mike Tomlin own? Greg Roman. He owns Greg Roman. He's his son. So I'm going Steelers at home. The terrible towels will be waving in the air. I've got the Steelers, but it will be a good game. It will be a close game. Definitely, there's one Justin in this game that's significantly better than the other Justin. I just wonder how much Harbaugh will actually let him throw the ball. I'm very intrigued there. So, we'll see. The Chargers and the Steelers. So, 62% of the bets on the money line is on the Steelers. 59% of the money is on the Chargers money line, though. 75% of the bets on the spread is on the Chargers. 79% of the money is on the Chargers. On the over, we got 82% of the money on the over, 16 on the under. 56% of the money is on the over, while 44% of the money is on the under. This total is 35.5, bro. 35.5. That's absolutely outrageous. That is so low, it's insane. But honestly, can you bet the over in this game? I don't know, man. Can you? I really don't know. I'm actually shocked how much spread, action has come on the Chargers. I'm a little bit surprised by that. I think that's a little disrespectful to the Steelers. The steel curtain. So, that's interesting. Bodo will be watching. Next up, we've got the Philadelphia Eagles. The EAGLES. Eagles at the New Orleans Saints. And early in the week, I'm not going to lie, I was thinking, this is a smash spot. Take the Eagles. Everyone thinks the Saints are the best team ever invented. They're the 07 Patriots. They're the 84 Niners. They're the 95 Cowboys. They're the 2000 Ravens mixed with the 84 Dolphins. No, they're not. But the Eagles aren't very good either. Let's just be fair. The Eagles, their quarterback is massively overrated. Massively. Especially without A.J. Brown to catch the ball for him in ridiculous situations and catch a 70-yard slant for a touchdown every single game. And also, their defense isn't very good. Just period. Their linebackers stink. Their pass rush has been underwhelming. And, their corners, Slay is fried. Their safeties are slow. Quignon's good, but he's a rookie. So, honestly, when you break it down from a football standpoint, the Saints should win. When you break it down from a football standpoint, the Saints should win. They're at home. They've got a better secondary. Lattimore could be back. No A.J. Brown potentially, right? And you break it down the other side, I think the Saints can move the ball, run the ball on the Eagles, just as Bijan did with the Falcons, set up those play-action plays for Carr, keep them protected with this overrated Eagles pass rush, and they're at home in New Orleans in the comfort of their city, their dome, right? Their fan base. The Saints have an overwhelming speed advantage at wide receiver compared to the secondary of the Eagles. And, we've seen this Shanahan attack have success against this Eagles defense before. So it wouldn't shock me if the Saints blew them out. But at the same time, the Eagles have matched up well with Dennis Allen in the past couple of years. Jalen Hurts has been able to run on the Saints pretty well. And I could also see a script where the Eagles are able to kind of slow play this game, slow it down a lot, run Saquon at these kind of underwhelming defensive tackles of the Saints. Just run the ball. And then eventually Allen will get aggressive with the blitz on Hurts. Maybe Devontae Smith makes a play or something like that, right? So I could see the Eagles controlling the ball on the road. And this one perhaps being pretty close. I'm not really sure who I'm going to pick. I'm obviously not going to bet it. There's no question about that. I think that this game could go either way. I think we're going to learn a lot about both teams. My initial hunch wanted to go with the Eagles, but my football brain wants to go with the Saints. So I'm going to go with the Saints. I think. If A.J. Brown was playing, I'd probably go with the Eagles. But I don't think he's going to play. So I'm going to go with the Saints. I hope it's a good game, though. I don't know. There's not a lot there. It's tough, man. I could see a lot of different scripts for that game. That it's going to be interesting to see how it plays out. I think if the Eagles get the lead, that's, early, that's their best chance. If the Saints continue to come out guns a-blazing like they have, and the Eagles get behind, that's potentially where the Saints could be in a rout sort of situation once again. But we'll see how it works out. Outlier, here we go. 66% of the bets on the money line are on the Saints. 79% of the money on the money line is on the Saints. 56% of the spread money is on the Saints. 54% of the money on the spread is on the Saints. 58% of the over bets are on the over. 67% of the money is on the over. If I had to bet anything in this game, I do think I would bet the over. Because I think the Eagles' defense is legitimately not good. And I think the Saints are a defense that I think the Eagles can somewhat exploit because I think the Eagles can run it. And I think that stretches and kind of allows the Saints to wear down. So, yeah. I think both the offenses have legitimate options to move the ball in this game. Okay. Next up, we have the Houston Texans at the Minnesota Vikings. This is another fantastic game and a fantastic matchup. This is one of those where I didn't fade the Saints, a team that started off really hot, that is playing a team that was projected to be really good. Maybe not quite as good as Houston, in my opinion, but still pretty darn good, right? I think this is more so the game where the team that started off hot is going to come back down to earth. I think the Texans are just on a different level than the Vikings are, and I know I said this about the Niners last week, but we had previously seen the Niners lose to the Vikings, and I brought up those things in the picks last week. I just incorrectly picked the spread. There was probably no way I was going to fade the Niners, though. As you guys know, I never fade the Niners, so that's just one of my biases. But I think the Texans are going to win. And I think the difference between the Texans and the Niners is CJ Stroud. I think CJ Stroud is just that good. I think Flores can blitz him all he wants. I don't think Stroud's ever going to get rattled. I think if anything, he'll just find ways to break Flores' back. Escape the blitz, make a play on the move, make a play under duress, get the ball out to the correct receiver on time, accurately. Like Brock Purdy, he is elusive. He isn't a great scheme. He does have good weapons. But I think there's differences between the Texans and the Niners. I think that the Texans, Stroud is more consistently accurate, can throw the ball with more power. He can, I think, make more plays. And I think the receivers for the Texans are more equipped to beat that tight coverage than the Niners are. I think Nico Collins is maybe the best receiver we have going right now so far this season. I think that Stephon Diggs is in a revenge spot. Probably will have a good matchup out there. And Tank Dell should be motivated after he looked like an absolute bum last week. Then you look at the defense of the Texans, and this is an intriguing matchup. But I think the difference between the Texans and the Niners on that side is I think the Texans will be willing to blitz the Vikings. The Vikings also have injuries, right? Not only are they missing Addison, and we know about Hawkinson, but O'Neal is beat up. And Jefferson is beat up. And I think Jefferson will play, but you wonder if he'll be 100%. He could leave the game at any point. This is a Hunter revenge game. This is a Diggs revenge game. I think that D'Amico will be willing to heat up Darnold, which we've seen in the past. Darnold has a classic game on Monday night where he was seeing ghosts because of zero blitz. We just saw the Texans attack the Bears' offensive line with zero blitz continuously. I could see a similar approach against Darnold where he's floating up ducks to Jimmy Ward and Jalen Petrie. So I think the difference in this game is both are very well coached. Both rosters are very solid. I think the Vikings defense, their roster on defense is extremely slept on. Also, Dallas Turner is questionable for this game too, another edge rusher. So the Vikings are a bit beat up. They are at home, but I think the Texans are the better team. I think the Texans have the better quarterback, and I think that's the difference for me in this game is the Texans quarterback will be the difference. So I believe in Stroud. That's what I'm going with. And I probably will be putting money on it because I don't think the Vikings are as good as they've showed so far, despite me loving their coaching. And I think the Texans are better than they've showed. I think the Texans have not played exceptional football, but I think they're definitely able to get to a different level. And that might start in this game. So 61% of the bets on the money line are on the Texans, but 72% of the money is on the Vikings. Meanwhile, 66% of the spread bets are on the Texans, while 69% of the spread money is on the Vikings. 66% of the bets is on the over, while 72% of the money is on the over. Texans could be favored anywhere from 2.5 to 1, depending on where you're betting. Just try to get the best number there overall. But yeah, I don't think the Vikings are going to go 3-0. I don't know. It's hard for me to see. Minnesota has never lost to Houston in 5 all-time meetings. Big Al's got the Vikings 28-24. Vikings win and cover. Durkant also has the Vikings in an upset, 24-23. I will say, other people taking the Vikings has me a little bit more confident that I'm picking the right side. Pixel says we match up, however, Texans 29-27. Durkant says that Flores has also owned Shanahan prodigies across his entire career. But how many of them have had C.J. Stroud? He's the second best quarterback in the league behind the Buffalo guy. So, next up, Miami Dolphins at the Seattle Seahawks. Seahawks favored by 4.5, maybe 4 at home. I would rather a 4 here because I feel like there's a chance you could push at 4. 4.5. It's tricky because there could be like some sort of backdoor that maybe takes place. I like the Seahawks in this game, though. I think the Seahawks really impressed me offensively last week. Defensively, not as much, but I think they're in a good spot in this game defensively. First of all, they're back at home, which I love. I always have respect for the Seahawks defensively at home. Mike Macdonald has notoriously done a great job against Mike McDaniel, Kyle Shanahan, this entire tree. I thought the Patriots gave not the Dolphins, but the Seahawks a bit of fits just in terms of how good the Patriots have been at running the ball. I don't think Miami can push around the Seahawks. I actually think it will be the opposite. Seattle has a very strong interior defensive line, which is kind of the point where you want to be able to press the Dolphins, especially in pass rushing situations, and a backup quarterback like Skylar Thompson. If you can collapse that pocket and penetrate the interior, I think it's going to make life difficult on the running game of Miami and also the passing game of Miami. Now, I do have a lot of respect for Mike McDaniel's offensive scheme, Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, the ability to come out with something a little interesting. But I think having a weak offensive line in a loud environment, we saw the Bills absolutely punish Miami's front in that game, and really both fronts in that game. And I think Seattle could do some similar things. Boye Mafe has been having a great season so far. He whooped the Patriot tackle consistently in the game last week. And Geno Smith played really well. Geno is playing like a top 10 quarterback right now. He's throwing the ball exceptionally well, on time, with accuracy. Metcalf is a monster. He's going to fly by Jalen Ramsey like he's standing still. Tyler Lockett can still play, and JSN looks like he's arrived. Kenneth Walker would be a plus. That would allow the Seahawks to run the ball, because I honestly think the Seahawks' ability to run the ball is pretty reliant on their running back. Not like a lot of other teams, but I think Kenneth Walker makes their running game a lot better than what they have with Zach Charbonnet, because their O-line in Seattle isn't exactly the best. But Miami was ran on pretty effectively by Buffalo. So I could see Seattle having more success against Miami than against New England, because New England's good at stopping the run. So I like how Geno's playing. I thought they found a rhythm, through the short passing game, getting the ball out, stretching the Patriots horizontally. I think the Patriots have a superior defense to Miami. The game's in Seattle. The game's against Skylar Thompson. I think Seattle will confuse Thompson in passing situations, and I think they'll do well enough against the run to be able to put him in those situations. So I like the Seahawks here at home, man. If this was in Miami, I'd probably stay away from it. But there's so many things that make me really like the Seahawks here. So despite a 10-day rest period for Miami and all that, Miami is still having to go from east to west back to Seattle. So I like Seattle to win. I like Seattle to cover. Let's check out what Outlier has to say about this contest. Okay, so we've got 76% of the bets on the Seahawks on the money line, 63% of the money line bets on Miami, 55% of the bets on the spread on Seattle, and 56% of the spread money on the Dolphins. So a discrepancy there. 68% of the bets on the over, 61% of the money on the over. 41.5 over under is pretty interesting. I would lean towards the over, I think, personally. I'm not, like, that's interesting though. I also do like the Seahawks minus 4.5. We'll get to that when we get to that. Where were we in terms of these games? Let's see. Did we do that one? Yeah, okay, that was the last one. All right. What's up, Jordan? What's up, Stephanie? What's up, Brandon? How you guys doing? Brandon says 27-13 Texans. Durkan says this game makes the will not watch list. Seahawks 26-10. Durkan is a Dolphins fan and he is not very happy. Big Al says he agrees. Seahawks 26-10. Seahawks win and cover. Big Al says even with Tua, the Dolphins can't hang with the Seahawks. Okay, I do think this is a week where the Seahawks can prove that they might be somewhat legit. I'm not saying they're a contender, but I had them in the playoffs. I think if they are a playoff team, they win this game. All right, the most grossest, disgusting game of the week. At least we've got a different quarterback in there for Carolina, not the biggest bust, or shall I say, the smallest bust of all time, Bryce Young. The Raiders do have the swaggiest quarterback in football, Gardner Minshew. They're in Las Vegas. Raiders are favored by 5. The Raiders pulled off an upset on the Ravens, and the Raiders don't really know what's coming now that the red rifle is in there. I do think that he makes them more professional. Looking back at last season, I thought Andy Dalton actually played well when he got in there for Carolina. He made them respectable. He made them interesting. The Raiders, though, I like their defense. I like their defensive line. I think they've got an underrated back end. They're very well schemed and very well coordinated. I will say, one of the most, under discussed points about Carolina is the fact that everyone's saying, Bryce Young is not at fault. It's a bad situation. How could he succeed? Bro, the offense of Carolina, let's just say this. If Drake May was drafted to Carolina, he would be playing right now. Carolina's offensive line has actually been one of the best offensive lines in football so far this year. They do have a legitimate receiver in Deontay Johnson, a legitimate veteran receiver in Adam Thielen, who had 1,000 yards last year. They have a first-round pick in Xavier Legette. They have multiple running backs. I don't think Hubbard is that bad. Honestly, if the Patriots, you look at the Patriots, just, using the Patriots because they're my team. The reason Drake May's not playing is because people are worried about that offensive line and they don't love the receivers and all that. If Drake May was on Carolina, I feel like the coaching staff in New England would have, if Carolina's offensive supporting cast was in New England, they would have the faith to put the rookie behind it, in my opinion. This is not as bad of a situation as people think. And that's why I think Andy Dalton will make this game more interesting than people think. Because I think Andy Dalton is a respectable quarterback. I think Bryce Young is the biggest piece of shit I've ever seen. So, that also being said, I like the Raiders. I like the Raiders before the season. Devontae Adams is still Devontae Adams as far as I've seen. Brock Bowers is the next coming of Travis Kelce. And the Raiders need to find a way to run the ball better, though. They can't be relying on Minshew to throw the ball 38 times to win a game, bro. But they did just beat the Ravens. And honestly, even with Andy Dalton, can I have enough faith to back the Panthers with the points? Absolutely not. I'm going to pick the Raiders to win, the Raiders to cover. I think they win by 6. So they cover this by 1 point. I'll say 27-21 Raiders. And the Raiders are at home. Let's check out what Outlier has to say about this game. 94% of the money line bets is on the Raiders. 90% of the money is also on the Raiders. On the spread, 75% of the bets on the Raiders. And 65% of the money on the Raiders. The over-under, 76% of the bets on the over. 60% of the money on the over. So, in terms of spread and money line, Raiders, and then over for this game, I actually do like the over here at 39.5. I think the Panthers, like I said, I just explained, The Panthers supporting cast on offense isn't that bad. The quarterback just sucks. Okay? So I actually think the over is a play there because Carolina's defense is putrid. They can't rush the quarterback, like, at all. Okay? At all. So, there you go. Next up, the San Francisco 49ers. Trying to get back on track after an upset in Minnesota. Probably angry. Going to their second home, Los Angeles, where they'll probably have most of the fans in attendance, versus the Rams. The Rams are an absolute shit show. They don't have an offensive line. Cooper Kupp and Puka Nacua are out, and they can't run the ball. Matthew Stafford is just trying to survive. Meanwhile, Kyle Shanahan owns Sean McVay. He is his son. The defensive line of the Niners has looked really good through the first two games, especially when rushing the quarterback. They had 4 sacks against Sam Darnold. That was probably the area they looked best on defense. Their secondary also has looked better. They did struggle a bit with Ty Chandler running the football and with Justin Jefferson, as everybody does. And Sam Darnold made some nice plays against the Niners in that game. But like I expressed in my power rankings, it's more of a matchup thing, right? Styles make fights. This is actually the opposite in styles make fights. Because the Rams, typically when they have all their players, Niners have all their players, Niners whoop them. Belt to ass, as Durkant would say. But, that's a style makes fights thing. The Vikings were the opposite. I think the reason I'm confident in the Niners for a bounce back here, despite not having Debo or McCaffrey, Hufanga could be back, which is substantial for energy and tackling on the defense, but Jordan Mason should run the ball really well. And that will allow the Niners to be able to hide the fact they don't have McCaffrey or Debo. Jordan Mason should be able to run the ball. And the Niners should be able to run the ball on the Rams. The Rams can't stop the run. James Conner ran all over them. And Juwan Jennings, I think, could step up. I think Brandon Ayuk needs to get his head out of his ass. And I think he can in this matchup because the Rams don't have legitimate corners. So the Niners should control the game from start to finish. They should win this game pretty easily, in my opinion. If they were actually healthy, I'd probably lay my entire bank account on it, but they're not. So I'll just bet a small wager. But the Niners should win and should cover. The Rams don't have they're not the Rams. They don't have their offensive line. They don't have their receivers. They can't move the ball. They can't block. And their defense is terrible. So if the Niners don't win this game, they're in trouble. I'll say that. If the Niners don't win this game, they're in trouble. Let's check out what Outlier has to say about this one. 92% of the bets on the Niners on the money line and 76% of the money on the Niners. 80% of the bets are on the Niners and 79% of the money is on the Niners. Meanwhile, on the over, we've got 63% of the bets and 60% of the money. If I were to actually bet the total, despite the money and the bets going on the over, I think I'd go to the under, to be honest, maybe. I don't know, though. It's definitely not a bet for the total. I would just say, I kind of feel like the under is more likely. I just don't know if the Rams are going to be able to score. I'd be genuinely surprised if they got to 20 in this game. So, yeah, all right. We get to the next one. Let's get to the next one, which is the Baltimore Ravens and the Dallas Cowboys. By the way, Durkant has 45-24 Niners. Big Al's got 28-10 Niners. And Miss Jennifer thinks it's going to be a tight game. Big Al also has Raiders over the Panthers 24-17. Caesar's in the chat. Shout out Caesar. All right. Let's get to this one. Ravens and Cowboys, which was one of the best games of the week. Which, by the way, guys, if you haven't Gronk spiked the like button, make sure to Gronk spike the like button. That's how more people find this video in the algorithm. Help out your boy. Check it out. All right, help out your boy. This game may or may not be in the best bet section, although it's not one of those that is really like a technical breakdown, in my opinion, the Ravens and the Cowboys, because I could see advantages for both sides. I do see advantages from a football standpoint on both sides. But the core football degree in me just says, Lamar Jackson is 0-2. He's not going 0-3. Lamar Jackson, as Durkant says, doesn't lose to the NFC. They're not going to lose this game. Harbaugh, they just lost a terrible game to the Raiders. Like, the Ravens are not going to lose. I just have too much faith in the Raiders, or in the Ravens, from a coaching, like, motivational standpoint, from a leadership standpoint, from a Lamar standpoint, where I just can't see them losing this game. I'm not even going to, like, really break it down. The one area I would say that I like the Ravens in this game is I think the Ravens will be able to run the ball a lot better than the Cowboys will be able to run the ball. And it's as simple as that. The Cowboys have shown no ability to run the ball whatsoever this year yet. The Ravens have been very good at stopping the run against the Raiders and the Chiefs. Not the greatest rushing attacks in the league, but they've been exceptional in both games at just shutting down the run, right? With their big bodies inside. And they've got all those bodies inside, right? And the Cowboys can't stop the run. I think that the Ravens will attack them with that zone scheme under center. Derrick Henry running the ball. Henry will have 100 yards. He'll show why the Cowboys should have signed him here. And I think it will have less to do with Lamar and more to do with the control of the game, which I think the Ravens will have. So that's why I will take them to win and to cover. Let's see what Outlier has to say about this game. 66% of the bets on the Ravens, 73% of the money on the Ravens, 67% of the bets on the Ravens, 41% of the money on the Ravens. So more money coming on the Cowboys and less in terms of the bets. There's a discrepancy there. Over under, 61% of the over bets and 83% of the money on the over. And the over under is sitting at 48.5. That's interesting. So I think the money is trying to tell us that both of these defenses are overrated. But the total is also kind of telling us that, because the total is 28 or 48.5. What 28.5? 48.5. This is desperation spot. Backs against the wall. Must win for the Ravens. They have to have it. They have to have it. All right. Next up, Gronk spiked the like. The Detroit Lions, the Arizona Cardinals. This is maybe the game of the week. With how Kyler Murray played last week, it looked like he came straight out of Madden, straight out of the Madden video game, and he was running like all over the place. He was beep, beep, road runner all over the place, juking, jiving, dishing out the rock to Marvin Harrison with the Randy Moss stat line. And it's hard not to fall in love with the Cardinals. It really is hard because James Conner and that running game is lovable. Marvin Harrison is lovable. Trey McBride might be the best tight end in the league. Greg Dortch, the torch. This is going to be a great game. But at the same time, I think when you look at it from like you step back and you look at both teams, I feel like most people would say the Lions are the better team from a roster standpoint, from a talent standpoint. I think you can make an argument that the Cardinals, at the best of both quarterbacks, Kyler is the guy that can take over and win a game, and Jared Goff is not. But the Lions, I think, should be able to run the ball really well against the Cardinals. I don't really see an Amon-Ra matchup. If he's going to be in this game, I don't think the Cardinals can effectively stop him. I'm still waiting for Sam Laporta to get going in this offense this year. I just think this is going to be a bit of a shootout, but I think the Lions will be able to run the ball better. I think that the Lions are good at stopping the run. I think they've actually been the best defense in the league against running backs in fantasy so far this year. My fantasy brain is on. That's another factor, just as the Ravens and Cowboys game is a factor. I think both teams will be able to throw it to an effective degree. Maybe the Cardinals more so than the Lions, but the Lions, I think, can run it. And I think in these type of games, it's going to allow them to convert in the red zone a bit better, allow them to convert on third down and short, fourth down and short. I don't think the Cardinals front can go toe-to-toe with the Lions O-line. And I think that Aiden Hutchinson against a backup right tackle is a problem. We saw that last week. I kind of almost made this a best bet for the Lions at the beginning of the week, but on the road, the way the Lions have been playing so far this year, I have not been in love with. So I didn't have enough confidence. On the road, laying 3 is just too much for me. But I do like the Lions to win and cover. I am going to make that my pick because I think the Lions are the better team. I think the Cardinals are one of those teams that they can expose bad teams. They can blow out bad teams. They're a lot of fun on offense, but their defense is not good enough. I just have not been able to say that yet, that they're good enough. And we saw Buffalo run it on them. We saw Buffalo eventually get a pass rush. Yeah, I think the Lions are going to win this game. I think it will be high scoring. My dad's actually going to this game. He's traveling with his best buddy who is a Lions fan. So it will be a good game. But 31-24, 31-27, I think will be the score for the Lions, something like that. So I would stay away from it from a betting standpoint, but I do think the Lions will win. So let's check out what Outlier has to say about this game. 65% of the bets on the money line is on the Lions, 52% of the money, so pretty even on the money. 42% of the bets on the spread are on the Lions. Meanwhile, 58% of the money and bets are on the Cardinals on the spread. 78% of the money is on the over, while 54% of the bets is on the under. Interesting. So a lot of people betting the over 51. This might have come in before it was 51.5, and that pushed it up. That's also very possible. Guys, we're 2 likes away from 50. In terms of trends, the Cardinals have hit on the under more often, while the Lions have hit on the over more often. Nothing too crazy. Lions obviously winning more than they're losing. Okay, let's get to the next matchup. And guys, the only way to comment on this YouTube video is if you are a YouTube member. You have to be a YouTube member specifically to comment on this video every single week. So if you want to comment in the live chat, sign up to become a YouTube member of the BLV. It's $3 Canadian a month. That's all it is to become a YouTube member. $3 Canadian a month. All right. And you support your boy. All right. Next up, we got the Kansas City Chiefs at the Atlanta Falcons. This is going to be a good game, I think. Hopefully. It's on Sunday Night Football. Once again, another Kirk Cousins primetime spot. Once again, another Taylor Swift primetime spot. The NFL's favorite duo, Kirk Cousins and Taylor Swift. I hope the Falcons win, just as I hope every team that plays the Chiefs beat the Chiefs, right? But I don't know, man. I don't know. Ultra's going to be at this game, so maybe he brings the luck to the Falcons' side. If Kirk Cousins continues his momentum that we saw late in that game, then perhaps the Falcons could pull off an upset. If the Falcons can run the football, I think they can pull off an upset if they can control the football, right? So there's some areas where I feel like the Falcons can win. But I also I kind of fear Steve Spagnuolo against a quarterback that can't move. I'm not going to lie. I kind of fear that. I think the Chiefs can, on defense, I think they can effectively slow down the Falcons' passing game. And I don't think that they're just going to allow Bijan to go off. I think Bijan will have some, success for sure. The Falcons are a good rushing team, but I just can't see them I think it's going to be more difficult for me to imagine the Falcons scoring points here than the Chiefs. I think the Chiefs against the Falcons should be able to throw the football underneath, stretch that Falcons defense out. They don't have great corners. Their safeties are good. I think that the Falcons, if Matt Judon gets matched up with that left tackle situation, they might be able to rush the quarterback better than expected. And Raheem Morris will definitely keep a cap on the big plays. He'll definitely make Mahomes, do what he's been doing, which is throwing the ball behind the line of scrimmage. So it'll probably be a lot of excruciating Chief drives where they're throwing the ball screens, they're throwing RPOs, they're running the ball for 3 yards per attempt. Mahomes is scrambling on a 3rd and 8 for 9 yards, like a hair past the marker. Kelsey is catching 3 or 4 passes underneath for 4 yards apiece. But you could see a lot of Rashee Rice here. Worthy in a dome on a fast track is pretty dangerous. So I just think the Chiefs will have more success at the end of the day moving the ball. But I could see it being pretty interesting. I could see a world where this game comes down to the wire. Ultimately, though, I'm going to go Kansas City to win and Kansas City to cover. This is a game I'm just going to sit back, relax, and watch. I'm not going to bet it probably in any way, shape, or form. I'm just going to watch it. I have not been super impressed with the Chiefs, despite them being the team that everybody has at number 1 in their power rankings. I don't think they've been super impressive, but you have to give them credit for beating the Bengals and the Ravens, 2 teams that we thought would make the playoffs, right? The Falcons, meanwhile, they have probably deserved to lose both of the games, but they are 1-1. And they're at home, which I think in a primetime setting helps. So it'll be an interesting game. At least they don't have to go to Arrowhead. But 92% of the bets is on the Chiefs on the money line. 90% of the money is on the Chiefs. 80% of the 80% of the bets on the spread is on the Chiefs. 73% of the money is on the Chiefs. In terms of the over-under, most of the money, 71%, is on the over. Meanwhile, same for the bets, 55%. So if I were to look at anything, I think I would maybe look at the... Oh, man. Honestly, I don't know. Honestly, I don't know. Like maybe, I don't know if there is anything here that I like. I was going to say the over, but I don't know with the Chiefs offense, the way they've been looking. So, but for some reason, I could kind of envision like a 27-24 type game. But I don't know, man. Maybe I'm thinking of the Chiefs of the past. All right. Next up, we've got the Jacksonville Jags at the Buffalo Bills. This is a game that, like, everything from a football perspective has me wanting to bet the Bills and bet the house. But the history of the matchup has me uncomfortable. Jacksonville beat Buffalo last year pretty decisively in London. It wasn't in Buffalo. It wasn't in Jacksonville. It was in London, okay? So does it really matter? I don't know. But they also beat them in 2021 9-6 in Jacksonville. So the last 2 matchups involving Josh Allen and the Jags, the Bills have actually lost, believe it or not. But everything about the game has me thinking the Bills should steamroll Jacksonville. And the reason for that is Jacksonville can't block. And the Bills' pass rush is legitimately good. Like Greg Rousseau looks great. Von Miller looks back. Ed Oliver is good. And the secondary of the Bills can cover. So yeah, they're missing linebackers, but am I really concerned? Not really. And it's in Buffalo. So you're going to have those absolute crack addict Buffalo Mafia idiots jumping through tables before the game, looking like Mick Foley in 1999. So you're going to have all those idiots doing that, and they're going to be throwing dildos onto the field and shit. Like Trevor Lawrence isn't going to know what hit him. And then on the other side, you've got Josh Allen. Do I have to say anything else? The Jags defense, they play the highest rate of cover 1 in the league. And the Bills aren't the best receiving core in football, but I do think that Kincaid and Shakir can beat man coverage as well as James Cook. So I think there's enough there and if you play man against Josh Allen, he'll probably just run. So, and you've got to deal with him running around in circles and finding a guy open on the second play. I don't think the Bills will be able to run over the Jags, which is the one area I think the Jags have a chance. I think they should be able to slow the Bills' running game down. And if Jacksonville can somehow get a run game going, that might be, allow them to get in the game. But I don't know, man. I think I have to take Buffalo both ways. Jacksonville has not convinced me they're any good. So I'm going to take Buffalo to win, Buffalo to cover. But I think it will be somewhat competitive, like 27-21 or like 24-17, something like that. I kind of think it will be closer than expected, but at the same time, the Bills will still manage to cover. 5.5 is kind of a dead number, so I'll take the Bills. And the final game is the Washington Commanders at the Cincinnati Bengals. Cincinnati -7.5. Oh, I didn't even check out the stuff. I got to check out the stuff on OUTLIER. My bad. I don't think I did. 99% of the bets is on the money line of the Bills. That's insane. 98% of the money is on the Bills. 55% of the bets is on the Bills on the spread, but 60% of the money is on Jacksonville. People like Jacksonville this week. 62% of the over bets and 60% of the money is on the over. Okay. Jacksonville's offense doesn't look good, bro. All right. The final game is Bengals Commanders. Commanders managed to beat the Giants. The Commanders have the better record going into this game. This should be, if the Bengals are back, this should be Bengals by 24. But are the Bengals back? Now, also, the Bengals D-line does have injuries, and the Commanders did run the ball against the Giants well. So there is a chance where Jaden Daniels could scramble and they could run the ball a bit and sort of like make it a bit of a back and forth. But we've also seen that Jaden Daniels has like no idea how to like work through reads and make decisions in the passing game. And he's been pretty one-dimensional so far. And they've also, on offense, struggled in the red zone. They've kicked a lot of field goals. They kicked a lot of field goals against the Giants. I don't know how the Commanders stop the Bengals if T. Higgins is playing. Like, Jamar Chase should have a huge game here. T. Higgins should have a huge game here. Joe Burrow looked closer to Joe Burrow last week. The O-line looked better. The Bengals defense in this passing game has been legitimate good the first two games. The run defense is a bit spotty, but the pass rush, I think, will get there at times. And I think Big Lou can do some things to confuse a rookie quarterback. It's also in the jungle, the mighty jungle. And I think Jaden will be welcome to it. So I'm going to go 34-21 Cincinnati. 34-21 Cincinnati wins. Cincinnati covers. Let's check out OUTLIER for the final time. 95% of the bets on the money line are on the Bengals. 83% of the money is on the Bengals. 58% of the bets on the spread is on the Bengals. 46% of the money is on the Bengals. So more money is on the Commanders to cover. People like that backdoor cover with the 7 and the hay. 40% of the money is actually on the over. So a lot more money coming in on the under as well as bets on the under. So there you go. There you have it. That is week 3. Bets, picks, straight up, and against the spread. If you enjoyed, Gronk spiked the like. Don't forget to become a member and join the BLV Discord. It's Mitch. Subscribe. Best bets coming out soon. Tomorrow, we're live. Thursday Night Football, Pats, Jets. Good luck to everybody with your picks. Comment below your selections. Let me know who you're picking. Deuces, guys. Thank you, members.